Hello again.
Hello.
Have you ever heard of a troll by the name of Madame Lodestone?
Madame Lodestone? Oh, there's a name I've not heard in quite a while.
You know her then?
Well, no, but I've heard of her. She died in some sort of construction mishap.
A mishap, Nobby.
Whatever. Anyway, if memory serves, they put her body in the Salaci Mausoleum. Don't know how she ended up in such an exclusive establishment, but that's how I heard it.
That doesn't sound very likely.
You did ask.
I don't suppose you've investigated the passengers on the Milka, have you?
Of course I have.
Sorry, but you're not the most, diligent of investigators.
I work as hard as any man of my rank.
You're the only man of your rank. There's 3 dwarfs, 2 troll, a woman and a zombie with the same rank as you, but you're the only human male. I know you're human because you carry a bit of paper to prove it, signed by the midwife. The maleness, I'll take that on trust.
Do you want me to help you or not?
What have you got?
Well, I interviewed one of the passengers.
What did you learn?
That's official watch business.
You didn't learn anything, did you?
Not as such, no.
Any chance I could interview this passenger?
I don't see why not. She's down in the Cafe Ankh now.
Well, that's something, I guess. The Salaci family mausoleum was one of the most beautiful buildings I'd ever seen, nestled in an upmarket part of the city of Ankh. It was unguarded because, quite frankly, no one in their right mind would do anything to offend the Salaci family, given their ties to the Assassin's Guild. It wasn't just something that wasn't done, it was also something that wasn't survived. I tried to find Therma's grave, but it was a waste of time. You'd need to be an expert in heraldry or genealogy to even begin to navigate around it. I'll say this for the nobility. They keep their dead well indexed.
You can't recall if the whiskey knocked you flat, or if
I thought I told you never to Ilsa. I thought I would never see her again. I prayed that I'd never see her again. But either the gods didn't listen, or they were having a laugh at my expense. Knowing the gods of the Discworld, I had a pretty good idea which. Play it again, Sam.
You know what? No one's ever going to believe you said that.
Hello, Ilsa. How long's it been?
Too long.
That's funny. I was thinking that it wasn't long enough.
Aren't you pleased to see me?
Sure. Like a jellyfish praying for the tide to come in.
What's that supposed to mean?
If I always knew what I meant, I'd be a genius.
Back then, you always knew what to say.
I still know what to say. I just choose not to.
You're getting a big kick out of making me feel cheap, aren't you? Well, maybe I had it coming.
Hey, don't take my side. You'll take all the fun out of it. So, you came in on the Milka, did you?
Yes.
Alone?
No, I came with a companion.
It figures.
What?
Women like you are never alone.
I've been alone.
You know nothing about loneliness. You know nothing about what it's like to not know why you've been abandoned. You don't know what it's like to watch your career slip away because the one thing you care about has been taken from you. You don't know what it's like to spend years going into restaurants and asking for a table for one.
You don't eat in restaurants.
Okay, but if I did, that's what I'd ask for.
Why did you ask about the Milka?
You came aboard in Ecclepon, right? With a man.
Yes, his name's Two Conkers. How did you know?
It's my job to know.
You're being paid to find out where people board ships?
No, I'm a private investigator. Have you met a man named Mundy?
Yes, there was a man named Mundy on the ship we came in on. He kept himself to himself mostly.
What can you tell me about him?
He seemed nervous.
Anything else?
I remember him going down to the cargo hold at one point. He looked really shifty, as if he was hiding something.
Is that it?
That's all I can think of.
Ilsa had told me she was traveling with a man named Two Conkers. For now, that was all I needed to know. Ilsa had told me she was... Can you read this?
Yes, it says Pier 5.
What language?
Agatean.
How do you know an obscure language like that?
Actually, Two Conkers is from the counterweight continent. I learnt it from him.
I thought that people weren't allowed to leave the Agatean Empire.
Oh, things have freed up these days.
I'd be careful who you tell about Two Conkers, Ilsa.
Why?
People can be funny about foreigners, and there's always been rumors about the Empire. They say they use powerful magic there. The last time one of them arrived here, the city got burned down.
Two Conkers isn't going to burn the city down.
You know that, and I know that. But the average man on the street doesn't know that. They see the unknown as a threat.
Why? Two Conkers is harmless. No one's that stupid.
Let me let you in on a little-known secret. You know how stupid the average person is?
I think so, yes.
Well, statistically, half of them are even dumber than that. I take it you're the watchman for this warehouse?
Wow, you're sharp. People never work that out. I mean, there are so many reasons that I might want to be out here on a pier in the middle of nowhere, but you went straight to the fact that I'm a watchman. Well done.
That's a real talent you've got there. It usually takes me much longer to take a dislike for someone. When I gave Mundy's description to the watchman, he became animated. Well, not that animated, but more animated than he had been.
That's the one. He tried to break into the warehouse the other night.
You're sure?
Or maybe I just like stringing you along for fun.
What happened?
I scared him off. I'd like to know where he is now, though. It doesn't look good to have people get away with breaking into a place like this. Bad for our reputation.
Oh, I'm sure. Because everyone respects you, and this would just put a total stop to all those dinner party invitations.
Oi, watch it.
The skylight sat on the roof, an inviting alternative entrance. I wasn't the Disc's greatest climber, and the warehouse wasn't the easiest building to scale. I was going to need some help. The note had been pushed under my door by Carlotta.
Luton, I am anxious to see you again and to find out how the case is going. Come to the von Uberwald mansion on Moon Pond Lane. Carlotta von Uberwald.
So, Carlotta was a member of the von Uberwalds, one of the richest and most reclusive families in Ankh-Morpork. That explained why she could afford to offer to pay me so much. It didn't explain why she hadn't got around to paying me yet, but I could wait, at least until the rent was due. I already had a bad feeling about the Mundy case, but learning that my employer was a von Uberwald didn't fill me with confidence. I didn't know the facts about the von Uberwalds, but the rumors were bad enough.
May I help you, sir?
You could let me in for a start.
Very good, sir.
And don't call me sir.
As you wish, sir. May I take your coat and hat, sir?
Thanks, but no. I feel naked without them.
That must make it difficult to clean them.
Was that a joke?
I never joke, sir. It's not my job. I may lie, dissemble or deceive, but I never joke.
Look, I don't want you to take my coat, okay?
But of course, sir. Sir is welcome to drip all over the immaculate hardwood floor that I spent several hours polishing this morning, because Sir is a guest, and Sir is entitled to do whatever Sir wishes.
I have an invitation from Carlotta.
Ah, Sir is as quick to reach the point of Sir's visit as a tortoise with a war wound is in crossing a very large desert. I will fetch Mistress Carlotta for Sir, provided Sir would be so kind as to wait here and not to touch the valuable and irreplaceable furniture that adorns the room Sir is currently dripping on.
I'll see what I can do. The painting bore a striking resemblance to Carlotta.
The Duchess Charlotte von Uberwald, née Leopoldine. My predecessor, in a sense.
Oh? Are you a duchess?
No, but the resemblance is impressive, isn't it? My husband was struck by it from the moment I met him.
Where is your husband?
Dear Ulrich passed away during a civil uprising in Uberwald several years ago. Quite a terrible business, actually. Peasants, pitchforks, burning torches, the usual sort of thing.
Usual?
For Uberwald, certainly. Their ways may seem barbaric, but it's just the way things have always been done. If there wasn't a civil uprising every few years, I do believe the nobility would be most disappointed. Dying at the hands of a mob in a burning castle is practically traditional.
Tradition important to you, is it?
Ever the investigator, eh, Luton? Even your employer isn't beyond suspicion.
My old boss used to say that everyone was guilty of something.
And what are you guilty of?
Too many things, sweetie, but nothing you need to know about. So what's the story with you and Ulrich?
Do you believe in love at first sight, Luton?
It saves a lot of time, certainly.
Ulrich fell for me the moment we met. I guess seeing that painting every day probably helped.
Don't sell yourself short. You have a few assets of your own. I'm sure it was an equitable transaction.
You think I married him for his money?
Did you?
Let me tell you something, Luton. I've been rich and I've been poor. Rich is better.
Did you love him?
Does it matter?
It matters to me.
Maybe I did. I guess it depends on what love is.
Love is a moment of weakness that allows someone to hurt you more than you ever thought possible. Men were given the strength to be brutes to women, and women were given love to wreak their revenge.
Who was she, Luton?
Who?
The one who left you with such a high opinion of women. She must have been quite a gal.
I need your help.
I'm not hard to get, Luton. All you have to do is ask.
I need your knowledge. I need to find a particular tomb in the Salaci Mausoleum, but I don't know enough about genealogy. You do.
The Salaci Mausoleum? That could be trouble.
Don't worry. I'm not going to mess with the tombs. I know better than to offend a family whose ties with the Assassin's Guild go back to its very foundation. I just want to see if someone's buried there.
Who's the stiff?
A troll named Therma.
A dead troll? You don't get much stiffer than that, I suppose.
Will you help me or not?
Of course, although I'm not really properly dressed for a mausoleum. You don't mind waiting while I get changed?
It's not like Therma's going anywhere.
If Sarah is not too busy, the master of the house wishes a word with you.
And if I am too busy?
The master of the house still wishes a word with you, and I shall be forced to beg.
That sounds like it could be fun.
Did I say beg, sir? I meant resort to violence.
In which case, lead the way.
Mr. Luton, as I understand it, my daughter-in-law has retained you to investigate a certain matter for her.
That's correct.
Then I take it you will be a frequent visitor to my house.
It seems likely.
Do you know who I am?
I know that they call you the Count.
Do you know why they call me the Count? Because I am a Count. Count Henning von Überwald. One of the Blintz von Überwalds, I ought to add, because frankly, Überwald had an uncountable number of counts. And I'm trapped in Ankh-Morpork at the moment because my current infirmity prohibits me from leaving this room.
That doesn't explain why you wanted to see me.
I wish to know what my daughter-in-law has you investigating.
That's between me and her.
No, Mr. Luton. I rather suspect it isn't. You see, Carlotta's hands are not on the von Überwald purse strings, but mine are.
So you're saying I won't get paid unless I tell you what I'm doing?
No, I'm implying that. Whether or not you actually get paid is a different issue.
What's it to you?
I get very bored. I'm interested as to what goes on around me.
All right. I'm tracking someone for her.
Someone who is missing?
That's right. A man named Monday.
Oh, I see. Very well. If you keep me informed on the progress of the case periodically, I will ensure that you receive payment.
You said you have to stay in the conservatory. Why?
I'm not a well man, Mr. Luton. It is hard to say how long I have for this world, or indeed if the next world will take me.
What's so special about the conservatory?
Ankh-Morpork is too hot and humid for my tastes. I had the conservatory built especially. It's colder than the rest of the house. I keep it at the temperature I feel most comfortable with.
Why so cold?
You ask too many questions.
I'm an investigator. It's my job.
Well, be thankful that I find your impertinence charming, or else I might be forced to teach you a lesson.
In your condition?
You would be surprised at just what I can do in my condition, Mr. Luton.
What can you tell me about Monday?
I'm
afraid I can tell you nothing. But I would be interested in what you have to say about Monday.
Carlotta says he's an ex-lover and she suspects him of cheating on her.
And you believed her?
Whether I believe her or not is immaterial. So if I keep you informed on how the Monday case is going, you'll ensure that I get paid?
As much as it is in my power to do so, yes.
And what if I mention this to Carlotta? Maybe she's got the money from other sources and doesn't need the family money.
A possibility. Very well. I'll offer to pay you irrespective of whether Carlotta pays you herself.
That seems a little unethical. I'd be betraying the trust of a client.
I'll pay you twice your usual fees.
Well, what do you know? Suddenly I've resolved all my ethical dilemmas.
Ethics are a salve for the poor, Luton.
I am the poor.
You sound as if you are proud of the fact.
The poor are often prouder than the rich. They know that what they have can't be taken away.
Why would anyone want to take their poverty away?
I didn't say the poor were smart. I said they were proud. So the von Uberwalds are wealthy, then?
Not compared to some, but we have more than enough to look after our own.
Is Carlotta one of your own?
When she married into us, she became a part of us.
You sound like you don't approve.
My opinions of Carlotta are not the issue. Traditions and ties of blood are stronger than opinions.
But there is no tie of blood between you and Carlotta. She married into the clan.
Mr. Luton, there are ties of blood between all the von Uberwalds. In Uberwald, blood is very important.
I'll be back later.
I look forward to it.
Now let's get this straight. We're looking for a troll named Therma.
As far as I know, yes, but she may be in here under the name Madame Lodestone.
Okay, then we can rule out the Fornix Sanguis Ceruleus.
What? Does there have to be one?
The Blue Blood Vault. We can probably eliminate the heroic decapitated war veterans vault and the thoroughbred pet vault. Do you know what relation this troll had to the Selaci family? She wouldn't be buried here if she wasn't.
Well, your guess is as good as mine. It took Carlotta a while to work it out, but we eventually found a Madame Lodestone in the Fornix Famulus, the servitor's vault. Guess she used to keep the floors real clean or something.
Here we are. Madame Lodestone.
There's an inscription. Madame Lodestone, singer and retainer of Lord Robert Selaci, taken from us when her house collapsed, returning her to the rubble from whence she came. Not much of an epitaph. Still, it's more than I expect mine will say. I'll probably end up with whatever's written on the cement bag round my feet. Carlotta? Carlotta? She disappeared without even a word. I couldn't work that woman out. Still, she'd found me the tomb, which left me trying to decide whether or not to tell Malachite. I tried to move the slab, but it was far too heavy. Hello again, Malachite. No, don't say anything. I know how you'd love to talk, but I'd hate for you to wear out that beautiful voice of yours. Well, I think I found Therma's body. It's in the Selaci mausoleum.
Need to see body. Take me there.
Okay. Nice to see someone dealing with the grieving process at high speed. Cut straight to the acceptance. It saves a lot of time, doesn't it? I don't know why I bother sometimes. Not as if he's listening to me. Maybe it'd help if I hit him with something, like maybe a really heavy building.
Need to see body.
Of course you do. Here's the tomb.
Need to see body.
Hey, it's going to be pretty ugly in there. I mean, she was crushed under a house. That'd mess up even a troll.
Need to see body.
Malachite pushed the slab off the tomb like he was opening a jam jar. Inside was some rubble that I assumed was Therma's body. Frankly, there wasn't much to go on. Trolls are rocks, and that's the whole story.
Not Therma. Keep looking.
Are you crazy? How could you tell?
Not Therma. Keep looking.
I was beginning to wonder if Malachite was mad. If he was, I could at least make use of it. Okay, I've got no soul. I must be a heel. All right, I'll keep looking. But I've got a problem. There's this building I need to get into, but I can't do it. I need a grappling iron. A grappling iron like the one you have. Look, I need to borrow your grappling iron. Do you understand?
Give you hook. You find Therma.
That's the deal. I couldn't help but wonder what it meant if that rubble wasn't Therma. Had Sapphire lied to me? I wouldn't be surprised. Frankly, I was more surprised by people telling me the truth than telling lies. Lies flow like water, but the truth burns. That's not a bad line. I better write that down. Malachite gave me the grapple and left the mausoleum without another word. I examined the body closely, but all I could see of interest were the troll's diamond teeth glinting at me. All my best instincts told me not to take the tooth, but I just ignored them. Breaking into the warehouse was easier than I thought. But then I was a natural pessimist. Living in Ankh-Morpork did that to a man. What little light there was in the warehouse was coming through the skylight, and shadows played on the walls as I searched for something to help the case. I didn't know what I was looking for, but I was desperate enough that anything would do. The scrap of cardboard I'd found on the Milka matched the torn matchbook exactly. The reconstructed matchbook clearly read 9 Whalebone Lane. Eat at Harga's House of Ribs. All you can gobble for $1, menu available. Famous wherever huge appetites gather and mountainous stomachs rumble. I'm back.
So I can see.
Do you know what this is?
It's a matchbook.
Any reason it might have the address of the parrot written on the back?
None that has anything to do with me.
I knew he was hiding something. The question was, how could I get it out of him? I'm against unnecessary violence. Besides, these skinny types can be tougher than they look. So you don't know Mundy?
I've already told you that I don't.
And this matchbook means nothing to you?
Do you practice to become this irritating?
Well, I'm confused. You see, this is Mundy's handwriting on the matchbook, and this is your address he wrote. Shall I tell you what I think?
I don't think I have that much choice.
I think Mundy is here, but he told you not to tell anyone that he's here.
You're just making it up as you go along.
Well, I could always go and fetch the watch. I heard they were looking for Mundy too, and if he's not here, you wouldn't have to worry about being charged with hiding a known fugitive. They can get so impatient.
Mundy's not a fugitive.
How would you know?
You little... All right, you win. He's upstairs, but don't tell him I told you.
I wouldn't dream of ruining your reputation in high society. Until later, Mencken. I'd gone to a lot of trouble to find Mundy, and now the goal was in reach. It seemed like an anticlimax. I couldn't quite see what Mundy was doing when I entered his room, and seconds later I couldn't see anything at all. The last thing I saw as I passed out of consciousness was the floor rushing up to meet me. By the time I came around, the watch had arrived. I must have been unconscious for hours, maybe days. I thought no one could feel as bad as I did, until I saw Mundy. His feet were bound and his eyes had been gouged out. Either he'd died of massive blood loss, or he'd spilt an awful lot of red wine. It wasn't going to be a good day, I decided.
Going somewhere, Luton? You don't leave until we've finished with you.
You know where my office is. If you want an interview, you can find me there.
I consider you to be the prime suspect in this investigation.
You've got to be kidding.
I've never been more serious.
Never?
What do you want with me? I was unconscious throughout the whole incident.
We only have your word for that. You could have killed Mundy and then knocked yourself unconscious.
With what?
Your wedding. You were pretty serious then.
What?
Yes, Nobby. Now shut up.
Will you explain what you think I did?
You came in, mutilated Mundy, and then knocked yourself unconscious.
Is that all?
There's your promotion, too. You were really serious then.
Nobby, you've made your point, thank you. Shut up.
How did I knock myself unconscious?
I don't know yet. But you're not a complete fool, Luton. You'd have found a way.
Do you have any evidence against me, or is this just part of your ongoing campaign of victimization?
You're always kind of serious.
You were present at the time of the murder. Your rope was used in the murder.
My rope? The murderer steals from me, and suddenly I'm guilty of murder?
It's not a bad thing. I mean, you're the commander of the watch, and that's a serious job.
Then there's the victim's message.
Azil? How does that incriminate me?
It ends in L-E. He could have been trying to write Luton. He could have died before he could finish.
He could have been trying to write Lemon. And what is Azzy supposed to mean?
I was only trying to help.
For all we know, Azzy might mean it was in Mundy's own language.
For all we know, Azil might mean, help, someone has gouged my eyes out. You're just guessing. There must be other suspects.
The landlord says no one went upstairs after you.
It could be the landlord for all you know.
Mankin? He's not the type. Anyway, he reported the incident to us.
Listen, you've got nothing on me, and unless you're going to arrest me, I'm going to leave.
I'm keeping an eye on you, Luton. Consider yourself a suspect for all the counterweight killings. If you're in any way involved, I'll find out. Don't leave town, Luton.
He's really got it in for me, hasn't he?
He's not a bad person, Luton. He's just a bit...
Psychotic? Obsessed? Judgmental?
I was going to say overworked, but I've changed my mind.
What's this about counterweight killings?
Well, and this is in the strictest confidence.
I won't tell anyone who doesn't talk to me.
The murders have all been a bit, well, odd, redualistic.
What? They are involved with a revival of philosophical principles concerning the division of reality into two independent forces, mind and matter?
No. Redualistic. Like what cults do. Reduals.
Ritualistic. I see. Like someone was trying to make a point.
Yeah. One of the patrician's clerks was killed the other day. Very suspicious.
Why the counterweight killings?
I'd better not discuss that. Gotta go. See you later, Luton.
A lot later will do.